Russian President Vladimir Putin said yesterday that his country is ready for, quote, serious discussions to end the war in Ukraine. However, he added that fighting would only stop when Ukrainian troops withdraw from key areas. Putin said the current U.S.-backed peace plan can become the basis for future agreements. Now, that draft plan appears to have Ukraine's tentative backing. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is scheduled to travel to Moscow for talks next week.
All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, bishops at Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect. All right, so you have Nero 47 continuing to, try to be a peace broker, all right, between Russia and Ukraine over there, all right, which this will end in war. All right, as prophesied in the scriptures. All right, this man Esau, all right, being a peace broker, will ultimately end in some type of deception, some type of underhandedness. All right, Esau always got something up his sleeve, and this peace talk has been, going on for a while now as they speak about ending this war over there, but that's not within the nature of an Edomite to broker any peace because they don't know the way of peace, as the scriptures say. It's always some type of war in his heart. And even if things do die down over there, it's going to escalate again because that's the nature, of these Edomites, man. All right, Revelation 6:4, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. All right, that's the spirit of these Edomites. All right, to take peace from the earth. They're always in some type of war. It's been perpetual war ever since, this place was founded, if you will. All right. Him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another through war. All right. And there was given unto him a great sword. All right. That great sword being his military. All right. You have, Babylon, all right, having, that great sword. And the heathen, also have artillery as well. All right. When you, even on a lower level, when someone buys a, let's say a gun, they buy it to what? To shoot it, not necessarily always, violence in the street. But, even if someone buys a gun to defend their home and nothing happens, they still use it. You may go to the range, go to the backyard and shoot it. All right, people have these weapons to use them. So when you look at it on a higher level of artillery, which is, bombs, nuclear weapons, things of that nature, they have them to use them, and they will use them. All right, why do you think they do nuclear testing? And, you have these countries that present the weapons capability, as it pertains to warheads and, how far these weapons can travel. All right. They have them to use them. So all this peace talk, that you see will come to naught, because, these Edomites don't know the way of peace. And Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai is going to put it in their, in their brains, in their minds to eventually use these weapons, man. All right. And once again, man, this place has been in war, from, its inception, man. The American Revolution, the War of 1812, Indian Wars, Mexican Wars, Civil War, where they fought against themselves. As you see a civil war brewing in this place currently. You had the Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War. All right, Desert Storm. You had the War on Terror. All right, which that's been going on since. I believe the War on Terror was dubbed in Bush Jr. his administration. But even his father, had some conflict over there in the Middle East. So it's always some war. How can someone, as I speak on the American power structure, how can someone who's always in perpetual war become a peace broker? This place is going to go to war, with the nations, man. All right. So even if you do see these things, what do you want to say, de-escalate, all right, eventually they're going to accelerate again. Let me get Genesis 40. No, it's 27 and 40. Salaki. Genesis 27 and 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off his neck. All right, by thy sword. This is the blessing for Esau. By the sword shalt thou live. All right, and when you go into the blue letter, all right, shalt thou live. Salaki. Go into the blue letter. It says to live, have life, remain alive, sustain life, live prosperously, live forever, be quickened, be alive, be restored to life or health. This is how he maintains. This is how he lives. This is how he survives. Is through war. So how can he then be peaceful if his only survival tactic is war? This is how you know that this peace talk is gonna come to naught, as as it says in the scriptures, man. Isaiah 59 and 7, their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are the thoughts of iniquity, wasting and destruction are in their paths. All right. This is Esau, man. Nobody has more blood on their hands than Esau. Nobody has shed more innocent blood than Esau. All right. Wasting and destructions are in their paths. Everywhere this man go, he destroys. So, speaking on the peace talk, he can't do it. There's always gonna be something that's gonna happen that's going to ultimately lead to more war, more destruction. All right. And, Russia is, playing their war games, with Babylon. As you see, Russia has, set up shop over there in Venezuela, China as well, because they have business interests over there. So, this is all leading to these major players, as I speak on nuclear capability, continuing to have beef with each other, no matter, how much peace talk they speak up. All right. Continuing on in verse 8, Isaiah 59 and 8, the way of peace they know not, and there is no judgment in their goings. They have made them crooked paths. Whosoever goeth therein shall not know peace. All right, the way of peace they know not. They don't know how to be peaceful. Going back to Genesis 27 and 40, by thy sword shalt thou live. This is his only survival tactic. Esau doesn't know how to be diplomatic. Doesn't know how to be peaceful. His only means of survival is war. And this is how he's been surviving thus far. All right. Uh, Proverbs 16:29, a violent man enticeth his neighbor and leadeth him into the way that is not good. All right, and Esau entices his neighbor with what? Peace talk. Like he did Gad and Reuben. All the northern tribes that was over here, upon his arrival in the western part of the world. That's how he enticed his neighbor through peace talk. Here's the peace treaty. Let's have peace. Let's, live in harmony. And then he destroys. This is how he built what he has over here, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, who gave him charge to do so. This is how he built his little empire over here through trickery, man. All right, when you go into that word entice or enticing, all right, is to attract artfully or adroitly by arousing hope or desire. The hope or desire of what? Peace. That's how you get down, man. To allure, to bait someone, to beguile, as we know that's a characteristic or of the serpent, from the beginning, that serpent-like spirit that he has. All right, to betray, meaning what? To trick someone, a decoy, to lead someone on, to seduce someone, to solicit, or to tempt someone. This is how he get out. So, when you hear this peace talk, man, it ain't gonna happen. It's not within him. A violent man enticeth his neighbor and leadeth him into a way that is not good. All right. It's a Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 12:11. Though he humbleth himself, or how does he humble himself, talking peace talk? All right. Though he humbleth himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. All right. Because when you look at rust, pardon me, I'm going to hop back to verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. When you know about the rust on the metal, it never goes away. And you could clean it, and said, metal will be shiny and it will look brand new. This is how he presents himself. He cleans all the, said rust off of himself and presents peace talk to you, But that rust always gonna come to the surface. His evil, his wickedness, his violence. It's always gonna come back to the surface, man. All right. And these nations know this about Esau. That's why they be weary to really do business with him. And, to move forward with him in any of these talks, because they know he has a long history of being a truce breaker, man. So Esau may speak this, but then you will see, let's say this damn old peace talk, starts to, work, if you will, and he'll do something like have troops over there. He'll supply Ukraine with weapons, as he's been doing. So when you look at Vladimir Putin, even though he's willing to come to the table, he know in his heart not to trust these people, man. Verse 12, Ecclesiastes 12:12, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. All right. Lest he seek to take thy seat. All right. Because, they're in a proxy war right now. The war hasn't become all the way violent, So everybody's jockeying for position, as far as trade deals, as far as natural resources, to, be the dominant country, because the nations are greedy, especially Esau. All All right. So, once again, man, he always got something up his sleeve. So all this peace talk don't mean nothing, man. The nations are greedy, and we living in a time where, the cracks in Babylon are starting to show, and these nations are looking at it like a prime time to attack. If you see your enemy's house divided, that and everything is in disarray as it is in this place right now, that's the perfect time to attack, and that's what's going to eventually happen, no matter how much peace talk you hear. All right, I'm gonna hop to verse 16. Ecclesiasticus 12:16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. That's how Esau deal with the nations. All right. That's how he deals with everybody, chiefly, the nation of Israel, but the nations as well, man, the other heathen nations. So he will speak peace to you, but in his heart he's devising a plan to overthrow you. All right. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. He will weep with his eyes, but when he find the opportunity, he's going to attack. All right. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet will he undermine thee. This is what you see happening right now. All right. Though he pretend to help thee, he will undermine thee. All right. Lindsey Graham, which is a Republican senator. He said that in the summer of 2024, that America's interest in Ukraine is strictly from natural resources, not only to obtain these natural resources, but to keep them away from China and Russia. You think they forgot about that? That's not the plan no more. My man Lindsey Graham, he just said that. He said the quiet part out loud. That's all that was. So, that's still in the heart of this regime, of this administration, to go over there and get the natural resources from Ukraine and keep them away from Russia and China, which, are the biggest threats as far as, militarily to this place. All right. And though he pretend to help thee, yet he will undermine thee. Let's bring peace to Ukraine over there. No, they got a play that they trying to run. As I mentioned Venezuela earlier. Or we, getting the drugs, cocaine. We don't want the cocaine around. No, Venezuela sitting on a lot of oil. That's the real play. This dude is a wicked demon. You can't believe anything he says, and this peace talk has been going on for, a minute. You see nothing changes. Why? Because it's not within these Edomites to be peaceful. They can't do it. All right. But I ain't going to hold you. I hope that video was edifying. Shalom.